actually grew up racing motocross, and I just feel like there's so many crossover and similarities, and I love the intersection. I've never really seen either in motocross, besides your podcasts, and ours now, doing this kind of cross section where we see the similarities, and not only in the sports themselves, but through podcasting and how podcasting is just changing the landscapes of many different sports. When did you start Gypsy Tales?
I think it was actually the first episode went on iTunes on the 1st of January 2018. So I was kind of working on it like a little bit behind the scenes. I actually lived in America for 8 years. And then I had some health issues that then created a visa issue. So I kind of just got stranded back in Australia. A lot of my equipment was still in America. I literally had enough equipment to do a podcast. And it was pretty new. I remember coming home from the States and being like, oh, did you see this episode of Rogan? Did you hear this podcast? And no one really was doing the podcast thing. No one was really listening to podcasts. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe if I'm going to be kind of stuck here, I'll do something that no one else is doing. And then that's sort of what led into Gypsy Tales. And what I was doing in America, I had a film production company. Red Bull was one of my biggest clients, and I would travel around the world shooting all the big motocross and action sports and surfing. And so I had that production background. So production's really all I knew. So I was like, all right, I'll just produce my own thing while I'm kind of waiting to get back to America. And it took off. And it's actually similar time I started jiu-jitsu randomly. And then, it was just kind of like a pretty good little grounding for me, I was really more dedicated to jiu-jitsu than the podcast, to be honest. I felt like for probably the first year I was doing jiu-jitsu seriously and the podcast on the side. And it just kind of let it do its thing really naturally. And I was really into jiu-jitsu, trying to get good at it. And then I look up 12 months later and I got a pretty good podcast. So it's kind of a pretty funny story. But yeah, it's been great ever since.
So what led you to jiu-jitsu? What made you start doing jiu-jitsu?
Man, super random. I did Taekwondo as a kid, and I would do boxing at school. I always loved martial arts and fighting. I remember watching the first Ultimate Fighter and just being a huge fan. And then I listened to Rogan, and so there was I guess that brought some more awareness around it. Funny, I actually did a jiu-jitsu class in California. It was a Carlson, I think is Carlson Gracie the one with the bulldog logos?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did a class at a Carlson Gracie gym 7 years ago, I reckon. And after the last roll, I was kind of just chilling with my arms back, and this dude, a big dude, slipped and fell and broke my wrist. So that was my first jiu-jitsu class. And I didn't have health insurance. I had this wrist brace on for months. So I was like, all right, well, I think I better not do jiu-jitsu. And then fast forward until 2018, one of my best friends, his kid, Axel Howie, he's a little bit of a phenom in Australia. He's really, really, really good. And then they were just in town, and Judd, the dad, is one of my best mates, said, you should come along and watch him do this jiu-jitsu competition. And I was kind of talking with him about it, and he's like, oh, you know a fair bit about the positions, and you know what side control is, and you know what mount is, and you know what omoplata is, and he's like, you should do a class. And that was on a Sunday. And then Monday morning I went to a 9:30 class. I was like, yeah, I should do a class. And then the rest is history, I guess.